Can you do that? Can you replay it in slow-mo?
I'm already with it.
All right, we can still get started on time. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's Solid Waste Management Authority meeting, this March 14th of 2023. Our first order of business today is to approve the minutes of last year, March 8th, 2022. Commissioners, the minutes will be in that yellow packet that you received with respect to the Solid Waste Authority. I'll give everyone a few moments if you want to take a look at that, and we'll approve it momentarily. Yes. Are good? All right. Yes, okay. Commissioners, I move that we approve the minutes as has been provided.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Call the question. The minutes are approved. Next on our agenda, we have presentations to receive an update by the Sustainability, Waste, and Beautification Department of the Public Services Agency concerning the operation of the county's privatized facilities and the status of ongoing environmental programs addressing litter and management of solid waste and recycling in Cobb County. And I believe that will be brought by Dr. Jenkins this morning.
Good morning, Chairwoman, Commissioner,
morning.
County Manager. This year starting off a little different because we are at the stage in our privatization contracts where this time next year, or by this time next year, we'll have already made the decision whether or not we're going to renew. So, next slide. One more. So the first one up is going to be our vegetative waste contract. Currently, the provider is Tag Grinding. That contract was initially signed in May of 2009. This contract had two 5-year renewals. We did exercise the first renewal. We started in 2019, but it took us until 2020 to get it actually executed. So we are at the point to do the second 5-year renewal to take us out to 2029. As you can see from my little table, I guess, below, I've already been communicating with Lori and the county attorney's office on all of the contracts. And the timelines, I guess, proposed below show that we have a 6-month notice to terminate if either us or TAD does not want to renew the contract, and no later than like I said, September of this year would be where they would notify us if we do not want to renew, or we would notify them if we do not want to renew. The last line item assumes that we do renew the contract to take us out to 2029. In that case, I wrote that no later than March of 2028, we would need to have advertised for bid and probably be in the negotiation phase with whoever is going to be the new service provider for vegetative waste recovery. Similarly, the next slide shows the same timeline for the transfer station. This one is based off of June. So June of 2024, next year, the contract terminates if we do not extend the contract out through 2029. And similarly, if we do extend out to 2029, then no later than January of 2028 would be my recommendation as to when we would need to have been out for bid and be into the negotiation phase. I'll let each of the providers talk a little bit about this when they come up. Those timelines that I put at the bottom are based on lead times for both mobilization and the purchase or procurement of equipment that they would need to be able to operate those facilities.
Okay.
And And lastly, I have the recycling facility, which is currently the contract is with Waste Management, but there's a direct subcontract that allows Westrock to be able to operate the facility. This one is also on the June timeline, and this one actually has the longest, I guess what I would say moving forward, to be able to go out for bid. 2 years may not even be enough, but I would say if we extend the contract out to 2029, then no later than May of 2027, we would need to be out for bid and be in the negotiation phase just because of the long lead time associated with procurement of equipment. Are there any questions on any of these renewals? Yes, Commissioner.
Jonathan, the West Rock recycling, is that not part of the transfer station contract with GFL?
No, it's always been a separate contract, initially advanced disposal bid the transfer station, and they formed an LLC just for that, and they also bid the recycling facility, and they formed a separate contract for that. So when Waste Management acquired ADS, they were required to, I guess, divest themselves of the transfer station. So GFL ended up with the transfer station contract. Waste Management retained the contract for the recycling facility.
Gotcha.
Any other questions?
But it was advanced, not?
It was
before the
advanced,
money.
yes.
That's where you got me confused.
Okay. Okay, well, moving on into the presentation, first up, we will have Tag Grinding giving an update on their 2022 operations. And that will be done by Mike Ellis. Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Good
I'm
morning.
Mike Ellis, as Jonathan said. I'm back up here again, and yes, we will renew our contract, I guess, as long as y'all will let us. On my first slide, it's nothing new really. It just our income varied a little bit. In April, it started to decline slightly, just month by month. Had a little bump in August, but for the most part, we had a slight decline. Not anything to concern us. And the customer count fell off as well, just very slightly. Again, it wasn't nothing to write home about. As far as the revenue goes, we only dropped like 2%. So, and that would reflect the same thing, a 2% change with what we paid Cobb County, which is $3,300 less. The customers dropped from 38,316 to 34,557. The dirt pit income it fell off a good bit, but we've had a lot of rain, and the proximity of these projects to our yard means everything, because transportation is so expensive, especially getting around in the city with a dump truck. Can't go very far. So if the project's close, we get a lot of dirt. Some days 300 loads, but a lot of days nothing. The primary use of the products that we use goes for the generation of electricity at a standalone power plant, which in Carnesville, Georgia, is our biggest market. We serve other markets too. All of them are from 80 to 150 miles out. So we burn a lot of fuel in trucking and time. Most of our drivers only get like 2 loads a day. Recycling wood products is what we do. We shipped out 3,753 tractor trailer loads of mulch, like 90,000 tons. And by the formula of 1.2 megawatt hours of electricity per ton of wood, we produced about 108,000 megawatts of electricity. And even though we are producing energy, green energy, it doesn't come without a footprint. The grinders that we use are 1,000 horsepower. In order to make 1,000 horsepower, it takes 50 gallons of fuel an hour. So on average, one of our grinders burns like 400 gallons of fuel a day. And we run 2 grinders most of the time. And then you have the support equipment that goes with it. And fortunately, we do fall under agriculture, so we can get a little tax break on the diesel fuel that we buy. I just pulled this up. I want to kind of show you how we compete with other types of renewable energy. This is a 500-acre solar farm in Taylor County, Georgia. It's producing about 50 megawatts, and you know, solar panels have a life expectancy of 25 years, and I'm not sure if anybody knows how we're going to recycle those yet. The next one I picked is this is Alta Wind. It's 3,200 acres. It is in the desert. It's in California. Not much other use for that land, but it only produces 138 megawatts. And then lately, you've probably heard about some disadvantages to wind, as in offshore, it may be harming some whales. And so that's just something that the EPA is looking at, I'm sure. And then I picked this one. That's where we haul in Carnesville, Georgia. It's only 35 acres of land, and it's making 570 megawatts. But it takes 500 tons of wood a year to run it, and we, you know, I just showed you, we put 90,000 of them in there. So we depend on small landowners and tree surgeons to bring us material, and which means that, you know, with all the material that we use every year, Cobb County and surrounding Atlanta area, we are losing the forest because development, you know, like a house maybe built 50 years ago was on a small piece of land, and then the house gets torn down, the house gets bigger, so some trees get gone that way, and natural disasters, and just the age. Trees age out just like humans do. And then I want to show you this one because this is in Florida. It's 20,000 acres planted, and I'm very familiar with this because it's another company that I managed, and we planted those 20,000 acres over a 3-year period, and now the land's in a conservation program, so it will be sequestering carbon for at least the next quarter century. Then as just the state of Georgia goes, by the end of this month, the state of Georgia, and it happens every year, beginning November 1, tree planting starts, ends around the end of March, and some 200 million trees will be planted in Georgia by the end of this month. And I know I got a little bit off the subject, but if anybody has any questions for me, I'd be glad to try to answer them.
Thank you for that information. I think anything that you can present to us to help us understand the process and the resources used is helpful for us in understanding the operation. I do have one question for you, and Commissioners, you may have other questions. There is a legislative bill that's being considered with respect to truck weight, and I understand that the logging industry has been interested due to the weight of those
Yes, ma'am. Right
materials.
now, we're on like 84,000 pounds is a legal weight to haul forest products, and except unless you're on the interstate. And it would be helpful if the weights would increase because the transportation costs are so great. A truck, big truck burns like takes, well, they get 5 miles to the gallon. Big truck. Coming and going, the average is 5 miles to the gallon.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, sir.
Very interesting.
Takes a good bit to fill up the tank. Now, is there any more questions?
I do.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
you kind of just opened the door here. You're saying that hauling 84,000 pounds is about 5 miles to the gallon, and that's a cost. If we increase this by 10%, then how does it impact your mileage, and is your cost actually going to go up?
The mileage won't really drop. The truck's rated to pull the weight, but the mileage won't drop, so it costs you less per ton to get the product to the mill. If you
But what
have
are
more
these
weight.
trucks rated to pull? What are the trucks rated to pull in tonnage?
Most of the trucks you see are running in between 400 and 500 horsepower. So if you increase the weight 15%, the truck really won't know it, and the fuel mileage won't change much.
Interesting. Thank you.
Okay?
Well, thank you for your presentation that you provide, and again, any information similar to what you provided this year to help us understand the industry better and your operation is appreciated.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks, Mike.
Sir.
That's it, thank you. Next up, we will have GFL Environmental. Presentation will be done by Kristen Gore. I see Brandy's there, so I didn't know if... All right. And you ladies, you can introduce, I guess, who you have here with you.
Hey, good morning. My name is Kristen Gore. I am the facility manager at the transfer station on County Services Parkway. This is my general manager, Brandy Edwards, and our area vice president is Eric McAden, and we have a government contract manager.
Excuse me, if you can help me in coming a little bit closer to the
Oh,
mic.
sorry.
That's-
I'm sorry. And we have a government contract manager, Luke Ewing. So last year, in 2021, we were open 308 days to the citizens. In 2022, we were open 307 days. So just 1 day variance there. Tons received in 2021 were 158,909 tons. And then in 2022, it was 171,000, which was an increase of 12,840 tons. We hauled 156,000 tons to the landfill in 2021, and in 2022, we hauled 168,000 tons, which was also an increase of 12,286 tons increase. We had 198,063 transactions in 2021, and in 2022 we had 197,000 transactions, which was decreased by 948 transactions total for the year. Our average tons per day in 2021 were 516, and they increased a little bit in 2022 to 559 tons. So 43 tons increased our average tons per day there at the transfer station. Our average transactions per day are 643 in 2021, and then in 2022 we had an average of 642, so just down one transaction last year. Total GFL payment to Cobb County was $60,665.61, and in 2022 it was $692.4302, an increase of I can't see very well, $8,577.41. In 2021 we did 8.5 tons in electronics, and in 2022 we increased our electronic recycling to 32 tons.
What do you think contributed to that?
I honestly think COVID contributed to that. There was not a lot of people recycling a lot of electronics in 2021. We also work with Keep Cobb Beautiful for 2 different recycling events that also increased our tonnage in electronics and in metal in 2022. So we didn't have a lot of people come to the event in 2021. So I think that really helped a lot. Our antifreeze total in 2021 was 233 gallons, and we increased that by 992 gallons. So that increased 759 gallons, which was a lot. That is a significant amount of antifreeze. Our battery tonnage was 4.84 tons in 2021, and just a little bit above that in 2022. Our metal tonnage was 1,064 tons in 2021, and that increased a little bit in 2022 to 1,198 tons. Our used oil was 7,169 gallons in 2021, and then in 2022 it decreased a little bit to 7,093 gallons. We get a lot of oil at the facility. People bring barrels and barrels and barrels of it. Just comes from automotive customers that have their own shops and things. Our tires decreased last year. In 2021, we did 164 tons of tires, and then in 2022, we did 78 tons. We had a big project in 2021, and sometimes it's hit or miss with tires. With paint, in 2021, we did 9,866 gallons, and then in 2022, we decreased significantly, going in at 8,912 gallons of paint recycled.
Less time for those at-home projects. after
Yeah.
COVID.
Yeah, I think the paint had a lot to do with the COVID as well.
We did want to add that in 2022, we were able to put in a new outbound scale. The previous scale was an underground scale, and it just had significant problems over the years. And when the acquisition took place, it was something we finally came together and said, we got to make this happen. So in October into November, we completed that project. And it is a beautiful new scale there. And in 2023, we are looking at, we're trying to improve our overall parking lot and projects around the facility. So hopefully it'll help, in and out, and then the entrance appearance of the transfer station. So,
Very good.
Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions from commissioners? I have a question.
Okay.
And Dr. Jenkins, let me know if there's some additional information that you'd like to share. We met with haulers over the past year, some of the smaller haulers that expressed some challenges with getting to some of the larger transfer stations. And I don't know if you can help speak to that. I don't know if you have a minimum requirement for haulers that can use your facility, or maybe GFL is not one of the larger transfer sites that they were referring to.
So we've actually been working with the small haulers.
Okay.
And we had a meeting, I think, was it maybe January, beginning of January, to kind of work with the smaller haulers and come up with a plan. It was myself, Kristen, Jonathan, several of us. And, what we came up with was at GFL, the GFL County run facility, the plan was ways that we could eliminate some of the wait time for we say large hauler, but small haul, you guys say
Yes.
small hauler, but they're large hauler to us. You know, so we came up with a plan, and I will say that if we look back at our even February numbers, we've seen a significant increase in our daily tonnage.
Okay.
You know, some of it is from, you know, residents, but we have seen some of the smaller haulers that we met with bringing in an increased amount. So they've been able to, I think our plan is working.
Okay.
So far. So we're working in other areas, and we're continuing to work with the county and with the small haulers on ways that we can improve.
Okay, so that was just in reconfiguring the site so that they can?
Yeah, we came up with several different options. So right now, Kristen, she's at the site every single day, so she can kind of give a little bit of.
Yeah, traffic flow is a significant issue at that facility. It kind of buckles up in the back, and so we have a traffic director out there to help alleviate the driving, so to speak, because it's hard to get around that curve right there and to get over to the commercial area to dump.
Okay.
So we're just trying to move these guys in faster so that they can get over there and dump and get out, because essentially that's what a transfer station is for
Efficiency.
Yeah, in and out very quickly so they could get back to their route.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Jenkins, do we time that at all to see the flow of traffic? You know, I haven't been out there in the mornings as much as I used to. I know some days, years past, I've seen cars lining up for very long periods of time, and you'd see a mixture of, you know, looks like households, vehicles versus
Yeah.
commercial vehicles in line.
Well, definitely. Saturdays, it's going to be, you know, mainly just, you know, individual, you know, homeowners, but you'll have extensive lines. And Mondays and Tuesdays, I believe, are the largest days that we'll see. And that's typically because that's when the garbage haulers also, you know, get in the line. I don't see him here yet, but Brian Warren, who is of Custom Disposal, he was recently, I guess, elected as the chair for the new Cobb Hauler Association.
Excellent.
So
Good.
he is.
Okay, good.
I see him now.
Congratulations.
So he will be speaking, I guess,
Okay,
you know,
good.
toward the end.
Okay, looking forward to that.
All right.
All right. Thank you. We have another comment.
Yes. The slide with the electronic recycling?
Yeah.
Is that just what's come to the transfer station directly, or is it in combination with Keep Cobb Beautiful's events?
Yes, ma'am. We do add the electronics and the metal to our in total for the events as well. Yes, ma'am. That is included.
Okay.
Are there any comments or questions from other commissioners? Thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Next up, we'll have a presentation from West Rock given by Will Howard, who is the general manager for recycling operations for West Rock.
Thank you, Dr. J. Good morning. As he said, my name is Will Howard. I'm the general manager for West Rock, our facility on 1775 County Services Parkway, just down the road. Today with me, I have our strategic director, Hal, and my office manager, Jasmine. I want to talk to you a little bit about West Rock as a whole, West Rock as a plant, how we've done last year, kind of the last 3-year trend, some of the things that we have done, and really some of the things that we're looking to in the future. So West Rock is a paper and packaging leader. We are a global company. We have mills in North America, South America. We just purchased mills in Mexico, Brazil. So a lot of the products that you will see at the grocery store, if it is a printed fiber or paper product or a corrugated packaging, most likely it came from West Rock. We produce about half of the United States pizza boxes through our Victory Packaging division. So our global company is a paper and packaging company, but really I'm here to talk more about the recycling arm of that company. So we have 19 recycling facilities spread all the way from Anchorage, Alaska down to Florida. Really, the heart of them are in the Georgia, Tennessee area, because that's where a lot of our mills are. I heard Tag Grinding say that they sent wood chips to our Stevenson, Alabama mill to provide power. We are the raw material arm that gets that fiber packaging, that mixed paper, that cardboard back into those mills. We primarily service Dublin, Georgia, and Stevenson, Alabama, but there's mills all over the Southeast that we get that fiber packaging back into the mill system to go and be turned into new product for them. So this is a picture of our facility. It's 225,000 square feet on about 15 acres. We process anywhere from 11,000 to 12,000 plus tons per month. So we're a good, healthy size facility. We're about the 25th largest facility by volume in the United States. So I also have to throw a big thank you to Cobb County here. We're about to talk about the drop-off site, and there's some big improvements that are coming to that site. As you can see, our tonnages are increasing. This is something that's a direct service to the residents of Cobb County. And as you can see, from 2020 to 21 to 22, the tons are just increasing there, and we expect them to really increase once we make that center very, very nice. A lot of concrete, we'll be adding extra boxes. It'll be something that we can really, really be proud of. Now, that drop-off tonnage, as well as the tonnage that we're bringing in from really about 100 air mile radius. We operate transfer stations deliver to us. We pick tons up using our trucking fleet. All of those things, every ton that comes into the facility and comes out the back as something that's going to be turned into a new product benefits Cobb County. And it benefits it in a very real way into dollars. You can see that as that tonnage from drop-off increases, as those rebate payments increase, our tonnage that's, again, going back to suppliers as either intermediary grades or just as a fiber grade into our own mills, as that increases, you're seeing our total payments to Cobb County increase. So we went from $328,000 to $345,000 to $356,000. And we have a dedicated want and desire to grow the tonnage that's coming through the facility because it makes two green. It makes sustainability green, and it also makes green for Cobb County.
Can you clarify what the rebate fee payment is versus the host fee?
Okay, so the host fee payments are $2.50 per ton of every ton that we sell out the backside of the facility. So, I mean, we're talking in the range of 120 some odd thousand tons. So you can see that's the $263,000 in the 22 calendar year. We also pay $5,000 per month to Cobb County as a lease payment. And then our drop-off payments are based upon what the average material value is of those tons that are being dropped off.
Okay, so you'll pay?
It's 50% of the actual like current market value. So aluminum's worth X, steel's worth X,
Okay,
paper's
excellent.
worth.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then for the prior slide, I know I've heard varied opinion about drop-off of glass and the challenges with that glass needs to be single stream. And I saw that if you go back to the prior, this slide here, that your tonnage for glass is dropping off. I don't know if that's contributing to that or if there are other factors.
I can speak a little bit about glass as a whole. So glass in a single stream grade. So if it's going into your curbside bin or being dropped off at the community drop-off site in a single stream, so mixed and commingled with plastics and paper and steel and aluminum, that material, whenever it runs across the line, across our lines and every full-scale material recovery facility in the United States, it's broken up, and as it's taken out, it's too contaminated for the glass recyclers to take. They don't want it. The strategic materials of the world, the reflective recyclings of the world, they're not getting enough yield from that material because they're only getting about 30% of that volume. So again, it's basically taking the long route to the landfill. You're burning too many carbon emissions driving it in a truck going to the landfill. are going to strategic, and then they're only getting about 30% of that material. 70% of the material they can't use, and then it takes the long route, burning diesel the whole way. Whenever we drop off glass tons, clean glass tons, we have a color glass and a clear glass bin at the county drop-off site, and we send those materials to Strategic Materials all day. They love it. Like, we send 4 or 5, sometimes 6 roll-off boxes of clean source separated glass into Strategic, and they'll take and buy that material all day because they're getting such a high yield off of it. A lot of those bottles aren't even broken yet. I mean, people are, I guess, gently placing them into the bin rather than it being broke across a glass breaker and being contaminated with things like shredded paper and chicken bones and dirt and all kinds of these things that are found and present in single stream.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about some of our.
Yes, we have a follow-up question.
If you
Okay.
can go back to the previous slide, I just had a question regarding the tonnage drop-off and whether or not the facility has the capacity for the additional tonnage.
Yes, we do. We have capacity available to take those tons as well as many more. And like we said, there's a dedicated want and desire to take these additional materials, to get more materials in, send more materials out.
Now go ahead and tell them what percentage, I guess, comes from Cobb County versus out of Cobb County.
Ooh. So right now, it's probably, I don't have the exact figure. I don't know if you do.
So restate the question, because I don't know if everyone.
Oh, sorry. He said, what percentage comes directly from inside of Cobb County and what materials are coming from outside of Cobb County? I can provide it, but I would have to go retrieve that material.
Can't believe you didn't have that.
Should have had that. Sorry, Dr. J, I let you down. Let's talk a little bit about some of our pieces of automation and some of the upgrades that we've done to the facility. This is our AI robot that we installed within the last 18 months. Now, this robot is using artificial intelligence. It's literally just a photo eye that is cataloging the items that are going up underneath it. And it's determining where they are on that conveyor belt and using an air venturi system to suction those materials off and take them, put them in a single grade so they can be baled and gone to a supplier that's going to use them and turn them into new products. This also allowed us to start capturing aseptic containers, so it allowed us to increase the materials that we take, and it's also a secondary QC station for our PET, so our water bottles. So it increased our capture on those. Again, we spend money to do things to increase our rates of capture and increase the amount of tonnage that we can take through the facility. So, talking about facility upgrades, we've got about $1 million of upgrades that we've done in 2022, and really, we probably are going to get the majority of these things done in the first quarter, second quarter of 2023. So we did an air compressor upgrade. The future of sorting technology is all air-based. Everything, just like you saw with the AI robot, it's an air venturi system. Everything all uses compressed air, whether it's an optical sorter that's using air jets, whether it's that air venturi system on the AI robot, or whatever the future holds. We need good, clean air. So we spent about $200,000 to $215,000 on an air compressor upgrade. Back dock expansion, again, that's going straight back into the ability of us to take tons in, get tons out. A QC upgrade, try and get the cleanest fiber that we can into our mills. We're adding a second sortation station for our cardboard. We added corrugated metal walls all over the facility. We've actually got another one that's planned now that's keeping material, once it's been sorted, in the right place so that you maintain that good quality of that material so that whenever it goes to either our mills or an external mill to be turned into a new product, they're getting that high yield. We added LED lighting inside and outside of the facility. We added more 53-foot dry van trailers where we've leased in, it's like a 16-month wait time to get a new roll-off truck right now. But we should be getting that in May to help with the upgraded drop-off station. and numerous dry fire system upgrades. I don't know, but whenever it was 7 degrees outside on Christmas Day, yeah, we replaced a lot of things. Let's talk about market changes. Recycling markets are very cyclical. It's like a stock market. It goes up, it goes down. The good thing about us is we are here to stay. We have that dedicated want, desire, and need because we are vertically integrated on the correct side of this very difficult, cyclical, up and down market. We always consume fiber. We're consuming mixed paper. We're consuming OCC, old corrugated containers, which is cardboard. And that's really the majority and bulk of our business. So even if those prices are suffering, and even if the prices of the non-fiber materials, your PET, your HD, your steel, your aluminum, if those prices are suffering, we can still be here to weather the storm because we're a consumer of the majority of those materials. So as you can see, the prices are not great right now. It is hurting and affecting our business, but with us being a cost center for our mill systems, we are still generating those materials, and we still have that dedicated want and desire to increase recycling. Talking about processing fees, these came from a third-party market index, TRP. They put out the State of Curbside Recycling Report. As you can see, recycling processing fees are on the rise. But the one thing that I can say, and we will always try to maintain this, is we are the lowest cost for recycling, because there is a cost for recycling. It's about a $30 million sort line system operation that we run. And as I said, we spent $1 million this year to just upgrade that. That doesn't even touch the maintenance and actual operation cost of $800-something thousand a month just to operate that system, to produce those materials that currently are not in a really great market. So we are well below these average United States processing fees, and we expect to stay there, again, because we want the materials to come in. We don't want to compete with the landfill. We don't want to see those tons, those good, clean recycling tons, that people are doing the right thing and putting those tons in their bin, expecting them to go to a home where they're going to be sorted, broken out, processed, and then made into a new product. We don't want to compete with the landfill, so we try to depress those processing fees. So some challenges. We're always infusing capital. We're always making new investments into our sort system, into our facilities, because it's not just this facility. There's 18 other recycling plants that operated by WestRock that are just like it. 5 full-scale material recovery facilities. I think there's 6 commercial lines, and then numerous packing operations. We're always making process changes, and those changes cost money. And again, we don't want to compete with the landfill. Changing waste streams with different levels of contamination. All single stream is not made equal. Some single stream has a high percentage of residual in it, some does not. And it's getting the word out about those materials, what's accepted, what's allowable, what's dangerous, what's not, and just dispensing that information out to the general populace. Mixed glass, we spoke a little bit about it earlier. It's a problem. I mean, all it is it's taking the long route to the landfill whenever it goes into a single stream. It is just wearing out our floors, our tires, our conveyor belts, every piece of steel in the facility. We would like to see it removed and taken into a source separate, but it's an industry-wide problem. This is not a Cobb County problem. This really isn't even a United States problem. This is a heavy, dense material that is abrasive, that when broken is contaminated. So we're looking at investments into glass cleanup systems, but again, it's like an abrasive. So if you're going to process it with any kind of, remember the future is air-based, any kind of air-based system or cyclone system to clean up, it's going to wear out. It's like being sandblasted for every single day. So we're evaluating those systems to see if they have merit. And the last piece is the biggest and most important piece. It's growth. How can we increase recycling capture and reduce landfill waste? how can we get more tons into the facility? It's all about education and access. And as we said, we're always willing to help or provide funding for those things. Because at the end of the day, the more tons we get in, the more tons that we can get into our own mill system, and the more tons that we sell out of the backside of the facility, the more money Cobb County gets paid.
Thank you. Are there any additional questions from commissioners?
First of all, thank you for all the improvements that you're looking at, and also the drop-off for residents, because that's important, and we appreciate all that.
We're very excited.
I know y'all have been trying to get us to come out for a tour. Should we wait maybe till it warms up and until all the work is completed in the spring or summer?
Whenever you're ready. I mean, when it's hot, it's hot. When it's cold, it's cold. It's not an air-conditioned facility. But yes, please, we do welcome all of the commissioners. Please come out and see us. We feel like we're the best-kept secret in Cobb County. I mean, 25th largest recycling facility in the United States, right in your backyard. You can just about hit a baseball to it from here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. All right, for those of you who are entering the room for our 9 o'clock BOC meeting, once a year we have a presentation provided to us from our Solid Waste Management Authority. We'll receive a number of presentations regarding recycling and waste in the county. This meeting is still occurring. Our 9 o'clock meeting will be delayed so that we can finish this meeting, but wanted to give you a heads up as to why you're observing this current presentation.
Okay. Next up, we have Kimberly White, our Deputy Director for SWB and Executive Director for Keep Cobb Beautiful, Inc.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Chairwoman Cubitt, Commissioners, County Manager, County Attorney, everyone up here, everyone in the audience. Okay, so we have been here for 39 years. We are almost to the big 4-0. Oh my goodness. So next year is going to be, I'm sure, a huge celebration. But our three main focus areas: litter prevention, community greening / beautification, and then waste reduction and recycling. We have a few of our programs at a glance here. So some of our most notable programs are our associate board members, our virtual sessions like the recycling games that we actually created that during the pandemic to keep engaging the community. Of course, our Dig in the Dirt grant and our Cobb Trees program. A few things that will be changing or that we'll be focusing a lot on this year are the programs that are in bold. So the Hefty Energy Bag program is now being renamed Hefty Renew. There will be a lot of information coming out about that pretty soon. And then we're ramping up on our litter index survey. So we do that every year in the summer, but we've also created additional surveys that we will be doing to focus on specific areas in the county. And then our green business program, working with businesses in the areas that we identify as having a lot of litter. A lot of times that litter is coming from, it's coming from fast food places or high pedestrian areas, so we're trying to work with those businesses. Our litter index score, we are going in the right direction, right? So our score this past year was 1.60. It's very close to our best score that we ever got, which was the 1.58. As you can see in 2020, it started creeping up. That was an issue. It was a lot of gloves and masks all over, the ground. But we are going in the right direction now. So I am happy to announce that we were chosen again this year for the ACCG, the GCIP grant. We're the recipient of that grant, and we will have an intern working with us this summer. Again, we will be continuing our process of focusing on litter prevention, and especially around our county borders. So like where that thoroughfare crosses over into another county line or jurisdiction. This is our nonprofit update. So our board of directors and our executive committee is Barry Krebs is our chair, Dora Locklear, vice chair, Aaron Mulgrew, treasurer, and Sharon Meinhardt is our secretary. Thank you so much to everyone that joined us at our volunteer appreciation event this past winter. We did this in December. It was very nice. It was great to be able to see everyone. It was our first one back since the pandemic, so we were really happy to host everyone. And we had some great entertainment there as well. At our volunteer appreciation event, we had a keynote speaker. His name was Dr. Jairo Garcia, and Dr. Garcia worked with some students in his class at Georgia Tech who did a climate vulnerability assessment. We don't have the link up here now, but I can send the link to you later. It's an interactive website that they created for us in Cobb County, and they gave us some recommendations. These are just a few of them that we could do to focus on our climate vulnerability issues within Cobb County. So environmental or sustainability resilience, resiliency. So green alleys, eco roofs, renewable energy, like a solar canopy parking lots, expanded recycling initiatives and opportunities, composting initiatives, a transportation plan, advancement of existing trails, green economic development plan, carbon trading, tracking air pollution with air quality sensors, and equitable transportation, developing transit hubs. Now, as you can see, all of these things on this list are not, for my office to necessarily handle, but these are just some of the recommendations that, that they gave us. So I'm happy to announce that we just came back from the Keep America Beautiful conference in Washington, D.C., and we received the President's Circle Recognition Award this year. So we're really excited about that. Thank you. Some changes to our jurisdictional areas. As cities come on board, or as a city that's already been there decides to apply and become their own affiliate, the things that we do for those residents in that particular community will change. So for example, the city of Powder Springs, they became an official affiliate. I know a lot of people have heard of Picking Up Powder Springs, and they've been around a long time, but they were not an official affiliate, but they are now. And so all of their cleanup resources and funding sources now reside with their new Keep Powder Springs Beautiful. As the city of Mableton comes on, we don't have any word yet about whether or not they will ask for their own affiliate, but if they do, just a few things to keep in mind, that about 41 of our Adopt-A-Mile groups that we have currently, and we have a total of 124, but 41 of them are inside of the current city of Mableton.
And you have how many total?
We have 124 total.
Okay.
So yeah, so 41 of them are inside of that one area.
And then Kimberly, for the cities that are part of Cobb's Keep Cobb Beautiful, are they paying into our program to be able to have you coordinate efforts within their boundaries?
That's a good question.
Maybe for another.
No, okay.
Well, you stated that Powder Springs would keep their resources, so it made me wonder, were they paying into Cobb to have us provide service in their community?
So what happens is Keep America Beautiful and Keep Georgia Beautiful provide a certain amount of resources. Like, so during the Great American Cleanup that starts in March, they will send us like pickup sticks or vests or gloves, different things like water, depending on how many people we have in our area.
Okay.
And because the city of Powder Springs now has their own affiliate, they will deduct those from us, and then they can apply for it, but you have to apply for it. So I try to remind everyone, remember to apply, because we have less water now.
Okay.
Okay.
So these are state and federal resources that may come. Okay. Yes, there's another question.
Can we go back to the Mableton slide? So let's assume that Mableton becomes a separate affiliate. What happens with the 41 AAMs in the area?
They would have to apply to the Adopt a Mile program there if they have one. So Adopt a Mile program has kind of been synonymous with Keep America Beautiful affiliates for a very long time, but it doesn't have to reside with us, right? So I guess there are some communities that do not have a Keep America Beautiful affiliate, and their Adopt a Road or Adopt a Mile programs reside with their Public Works or, another department. And so they can structure it any way that they would like to, but those 41 Adopt a Mile group members would no longer receive supplies and resources from Keep Cobb Beautiful as soon as they hit the go button to become an affiliate.
Okay, and it would be all or nothing, so you can't have some with Cobb and then some with the new city?
No.
It would have to be with, okay.
So for right now, because we're still the affiliate for that area, just like we are for Austell or Ackworth or any other city inside of Cobb County that does not have their own affiliate.
Okay, thanks.
Before you continue, Kimberly, I just wanted to share with those who've recently entered is that we have an 8 o'clock solid waste meeting that is still ongoing. It happens once a year, and it will delay the start of our 9 a.m. BOC meeting. You are certainly welcome to continue to observe the presentation here today. I just wanted to give you a heads up as to why things are a bit different this morning. Continue.
Okay, so we have some new communication coming up. We've got our newsletter. It's going to be quarterly. I believe it just recently went out, and all of our information about our upcoming events will be there, and it will go out to the general public. So for our 2022 programs, our Bring One for the Chipper, we had a little less of trees collected this past year. We had about 9,400 trees and about 45 volunteers. Our medication disposal, we did host 2 events, and we collected almost 2,700 pounds of medication at our 2 locations. For our community recycling event, this was still a little bit off because of the locations that we had that we had available to us to hold these events. But we had about 60,000 pounds of paper shredded. Metal collected was 11.55. Electronics collected 5.11. We were only able to do one of the events where we were able to collect metal and electronics this past year just because of our location. So we have to hold this event at Jim Miller Park. So when we don't have the availability to be there, we don't typically hold that event. And then for our hefty energy bag, which is what it was called before, but now it's called Renew, we collected 342 pounds at our event. And then had about 88 volunteers join us at those events. For our HHW this past year, or last year, we had about 750 vehicles attend, and we collected a little over 56,000 pounds of material. So that's like paint, light bulbs, batteries, things of that nature. So these are some of our school STEM projects and our Dig in the Dirt. So our garden grant program is now in the 11th year, and we provide education about gardening and how to take care of gardens and composting to students. And so this past year, we worked with about 2,000 students in a few different schools, helping them get their gardens up and going. So these are our Adopt a Mile numbers. For 2022, we had about 1,500 volunteers, and that equated to a little over 18,000 volunteer hours. We were able to pick up 650,200 pounds of litter. We have 136 miles of streets that are adopted, and we have 124 Adopt a Mile groups. As you can see, we're just 2 groups higher than we were last year, but there was a big drop. During the pandemic, we had a lot of people kind of fall off the roster of doing the cleanups, and so we're trying to build that back up. And if you see, there's a little bit of a discrepancy. Some people adopt more than a mile, which is why we have 136 miles adopted, but 124 groups. So we are really appreciative of those people who are go-getters and they're out there cleaning more than a mile. So the Hefty Energy Bag Program is now going to be named the Hefty Renew, and we've collected over the span of this program 163,000 pounds of material. That material, it goes to, in the beginning, it was going to make diesel fuel, oil, and wax, but it has since, we've since expanded our end user markets, and we're making plastic lumber, block aggregate, and hydro block system. So it's a water system. So our county recycling locations, we have two. One is in District 1 on Camp Ridge Road, the other District 4 on Austell Road, and then we have our West Rock Recycling Center drop-off that is it's under construction now, so we're really excited about what this is going to look like. Thank you so much, Commissioner Sheffield, for going out there and making the video about the facility. We really appreciate that, and we're just really excited to work with West Rock and get this up and going. These are our upcoming events. So this weekend is the Atlanta Science Festival. KCB will have a booth at the Mountain View Library. And of course, Great American Cleanup begins March 20th, so in a few days. And we've got some of our major events up there. So April 15th is our community recycling event. That's the big one, paper shredding, electronics, metals. That's going to be at Jim Miller Park. April 22nd is medication disposal. That's the two locations, Precinct 1 and then at C. Freeman Pool in Smyrna. And then June 17th is our household hazardous waste event. That's going to be at Jim Miller Park. Any questions?
Commissioners, do you have any questions for Kimberly this morning? I do have a question regarding the litter index score, which is improving. I'm sure I'm not the only one that continues to get emails or calls with respect to litter. And there's been an observation about it increasing. And so if you can help us understand what your observations have been in light of that index score and what residents can do if they continue to see, high volumes of litter.
Yes, so the litter index score is just a snapshot, right? So, I mean, we unfortunately, we can't do the entire county. It's too large. So we just take, we're driving down a particular street. We work with GIS to create routes. And so we are focusing on those specific routes, and we score it on a number of things. So litter, whether it's safe for pedestrians to walk, if there's a sidewalk there, graffiti, tires, illegal dumping. There's a number of things that we're looking for. And so we do sometimes see that there are areas.
Excuse me one moment. Are people still able to sign in during this meeting? Okay, just for those, again, who are entering, we're still continuing an 8 a.m. meeting. We'll resume our 9 a.m. meeting once this meeting concludes and we have a recess.
So that's one of the things that we're working with the ACCG intern. So we've already created additional routes. So what we're looking to do is create more than just the one route that we've been traditionally doing in the summer months. And so we'll have 4 or 5 different routes within each district so that we could cover more ground to see areas that are that we're having increase in litter. And if residents see that, please, feel free to call us, contact us. I believe our Salesforce portal is up now. They can go online to report it that way. They also report it to DOT as well. And they report it to communications. I'm sure they call 311. They report to you guys as well. Yes. So you can always send them our way to our office, and then what we do is we schedule cleanups in those communities, and then we also reach out to the person that reached out to us to ask if they would like to host an Adopt a Mile group in their community, and then we'll get them the supplies, at no cost to them.
Very good. I know you have a close working relationship with DOT that also has been responsive. All right, well, we thank you for your presentation. Thank you for all that you do. Every year, you continue to make us an award-winning county with the work of your team and certainly your efforts. Just thank you and for your passion and mindfulness around keeping Cobb beautiful and around sustainability.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And the last item I have on the agenda.
Excuse me, we have one question before.
Oh, go
we
ahead.
continue.
For Kimberly?
Jonathan, are we going to have time for the hauler update?
Oh, we're going to make time.
We're going to do it? Okay.
Yes.
Because I had some questions.
Yes. I'm just, again, encouraging our audience to please be patient with us. We have an annual presentation that began at 8 a.m. that's continuing around solid waste and beautification. And there's some good information that we would like to consider. And hopefully you'll be interested in this information as well.
And for the last item, which is the hauler discussion update and questions, I'm inviting Brian Warren to come up and speak. I have been updating the commissioners after we've had each meeting. I think I sent a synopsis. We had a meeting on November 2nd, January 18th, and the last one was on March 1st. But I'll let Brian speak so he can give you the perspective from the haulers as far as how our meetings have been going.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm Brian with Cobb County Haulers Association. I'll try to be as brief as possible. Wasn't planning on being here until recently, was invited to come speak and give an update. So since our last work session back in August of last year at the Cobb Civic Center, as Jonathan had mentioned, we have had 3 different meetings with his department, Keep Cobb Beautiful. The county manager's office and legal was there, so we had some really great discussions, great questions, great answers, and since then we have, tried to put some things into action. In January, we had our first annual Haulers Association where we elected officers, adopted bylaws, discussed many things. One of the major topics was to change the name of the association and remove the word independent. So we wanted to be more inclusive of every company that services Cobb County, invite everybody to the table to have these discussions on what we could do to have our, provide better service to all citizens, right? So to give them the very best options, the very best choices. So we did that. Everybody agreed unanimously to change the name, and it has been officially changed with the state of Georgia to the Haulers Association of Cobb County Incorporated. So that was the first move. We have a website, cobbtrashhelp.com. It is live right now. We are working on a few edits, and we're going to give the link to the website to the Cobb County Web Development Team. So on the solid waste page, they can have a resource. Okay. On that website, we have a hauler by zip code chart. Every hauler that services every zip code is listed. People can go there and fill out a form and request quotes from different haulers. Okay. In the past, people didn't think they had many choices in certain areas. We're trying to lay that all out and update it. And if there's areas where there's really a lack of service, we're trying to get together and really say who's willing to add on more streets, or who's willing to go in this neighborhood that wasn't before. They really want another choice. So we're just trying to be flexible. We're trying to answer any kind of problem that arises. We also have on that website a complaint page where they can make a complaint on who their hauler is and what the complaint is, and it automatically shoots to the person with that company that needs to handle it. And right now, we're trying to work out the issues of how do we make sure that complaint was handled in a timely manner. What was the resolution? And we want to record all this data. Go ahead. Basically, that's what we've been working on, along with our other duties of running our companies. So it's another task. It doesn't pay very well, but we all are happy to do it. We just want to be here as a collective group for you guys, so that when you see issues, you know who to come to, and we try to resolve them and solve issues as quickly as possible, so that each citizen can have the very best option and service they can find.
Thank you. That was our goal of all that has transpired, and I appreciate the willingness and interest of the haulers to come together to see how you can collectively address these issues. It really is a huge step in the right direction
Well,
for us.
we're all happy to do it. This is our livelihood. Kimberly mentioned next year's the 40th birthday of Guess Keep Cobb Beautiful, and it'll be also our company's 40th anniversary as well. So we want to remain here in Cobb for a long time, family business, pass it down to generation, and just keep doing our thing, and we hope that works out.
Excellent, thank you. I'm sure some commissioners may have comments or questions, so I'll go ahead and open it up.
Good morning, Brian. Thanks.
Good morning.
This is good news from where we were during code amendments last year, right?
Yes, ma'am.
This may be more for Jonathan, but tell us how the city of Mableton, since they will be providing their own sanitation to their residents, how that's going to impact our haulers, the county.
I know Brian met with them last night, but ultimately, if they decide to do sanitation where they're saying they're going to do it, haulers will still have to get a Cobb County permit to collect, outside of the city of Mableton, but they're able to go through a separate procedure within the city of Mableton. So I guess once the elected officials for city of Mableton are in place and they finalize specifically how many haulers that they want to have and how they're going to set everything up, they would reach back out to our office and just make sure that they don't, that there's no duplication. I don't believe that they talked about going through their business license the way we go through it in Cobb County, but other than that, their process in the city of Mableton should be relatively similar to ours, but it will be a duplication of effort for the haulers themselves.
But typically, a city contracts with one hauler.
They can.
I mean, they could do it differently with more than one, I don't know. But that would take a lot of service area out of the county, and they would contract directly with their hauler. So that would alleviate some of the issues we've had in the past for that area, at least. But I think the haulers are on the right track with the website and the, service areas. Knock on wood, I haven't had a lot of missed pickups, and I know that haulers are still acquiring each other and merging, so that makes a difference as well.
Yes.
So thank you. Thanks, Brian.
There were some concerns shared during that meeting in August with respect to some of the areas that are further out or that may have an older street that may not have a proper turnaround. Have we begun to address some of those challenges?
How many haulers are addressing that? Is it 3?
Well, there's a few of us involved in it now. So anytime we're made aware of it, I've had a couple emails on dead-end streets in my area that came through this CobbTrashHelp.com, which is
CobbTrashHelp.
CobbTrashHelp.com, and a couple different areas of the county or different newsletters people have, or they're trying to promote this website. But we've had a few issues come up with people that had only one choice on their dead-end street, and so what I'm doing is trying to find out who services the area, and then, hey, can you take this customer on? We've had one that we've reached out to and to try to provide a quote for them, and they haven't responded back to us, but I don't know the situation. But there's some busy streets, like Lower Roswell had a dead-end street, and the only way you have to back out into Lower Roswell with a big truck, and it's just very dangerous because there's no turnaround, or you have to stop in the road and back in. We found that there was a substation that Cobb EMC maybe managed on that road that had a larger driveway that was gravel. I looked at that as well, and we were able to turn around there if we wanted to if the customer wanted us to service them. But once you give them a quote, they if it's not a price they like, it's just about education, really. The people that have the issues, if we educate them and give them all the options, then they feel like they can then make their own decision, and sometimes they may just stay with who they have, but
Okay. Very good. I don't see Ross here, but there's 2 points of communication, one to get the website out, and then another one to update that Mableton FAQ with some of the information around the permitting. Yeah, okay. Commissioner Sheffield.
I just had a question. I wanted to go back to the city of Mableton. It's for either one of you to answer. Jonathan, I think you mentioned that you had spoken with some representatives, I'm not sure, from the city of Mableton. I'm not privy to the conversation you might have had last night. But with respect to waste management, that service is included in the feasibility study, I believe, but it will still be up to the city council and the mayor as to whether or not they will provide that service to the city. Is that correct? So
yeah, their responsibility as one of the services they're going to be oversee. They're not necessarily, they're not going to go into garbage business themselves. They have several options. We, as a hauler association, want to be ready with several options to give to them with pros and cons. So that's where they're at now. You know, the election is next Tuesday. There's going to be runoff on some of the positions because there's so many candidates. So I think somewhere around April 17th is when they're going to hit the ground running, and so we're going to try to be prepared to help them navigate through that. We also are looking at other cities. City of Milton, City of Sandy Springs has a very successful way of handling garbage and recycling over there. So we want to present that to them as an option as well. We're hoping that they don't contract it out to one hauler. But we identified last night that it is, Joanne, it is about 26,000 households probably, roughly, that would be removed from, unincorporated Cobb garbage situation, which is where, a lot of the previous issues, were in that area. So, one way or another, hopefully those issues will die down in that area.
And of course, there are logistics associated if they do decide to, contract it out. Buying garbage cans and other resources that will be required by a hauler to be able to service, City of Mableton.
okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions from commissioners?
So instead of the trash complaints at cobbcounty.org email, they can go to the website, and I see it has a link to file a complaint. So we need to direct people to the new website if they have a
Currently,
complaint.
our plans are to use both. The new Salesforce implementation that we have, if someone sends an email to the trash complaints, then it would actually automatically go into Salesforce, but then we have to forward it to the hauler's, email account. So we are still working out, I guess, how that's going to work.
Okay. So they can do either right now,
Correct.
and you'll get it to the haulers. Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Brian, we thank you for stepping up in leadership of the New Haulers Association of Cobb County, and we look forward to working with you. We know that there's still some other things to address, but again, this is a huge, significant step for us in Cobb to be able to address the issues that we've had with some of our residents, and we're hoping that we can continue this partnership, issues or not. I think it's wonderful that we have a group that we can go to whenever there are any issues in this area.
Thank you very much for allowing us the pleasure to work with you.
Thank you. Very good. Thank you, Dr. Jenkins, for your leadership in bringing everyone together and working through a lot of the challenges that we've had as we've tried to address the issues that residents have brought to our attention. I know it's not easy always to deal with criticism, but if we take a step back and see where the opportunities are, we can see some good things come out of it, and this is a great thing that we've seen come out of those challenges. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Any other questions for me?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that, Commissioners, I believe we are at the conclusion of our Solid Waste Management Authority meeting. We have our 9 a.m. BOC meeting to follow. Why don't we go ahead and take a recess until 9:30 and come back and convene at that time? Thank you.